Let's get right into it. No big fancy intro necessary on this one. Let's talk about the Houston Texans going down to the Kansas City Chiefs. The season is over after the Texans lose in Kansas City 23-14. And though that third quarter drive was probably one of the best drives in the history of this franchise, it all started to tumble and crumble and fall down from that missed extra point, and the Chiefs routed them there in the latter part of the game. All your comments, questions, joys, concerns, we're going to get to all of it. Super chats will go to the front of the line. I'm going to address some things about the game. We'll talk about your questions. We'll get to your comments. We'll open up the lines, let the folks come in and talk about it as well. So much stuff to get to from this one. Here's my overriding thought out of this one from the Houston Texans losing to the Kansas City Chiefs in the divisional round, as the divisional round roadblock continues to be an issue for this franchise. Here's where it is. This is a game where DeMeco Ryans should not feel like, man, we were right there. We're on the right track. This is a game where we should be playing for an AFC championship, but the mistakes we've been making all season long got in the way. The special teams failing you at the moment that it failed you is totally unacceptable. They had 2 months worth of mistakes in one game from their special teams, from a missed field goal to a blocked field goal to a missed extra point to penalties on kickoffs to a poorly allowed or a poorly covered kick that let the Chiefs get going early. The special teams failing you in that moment is totally unacceptable and tough to deal with. And again, the overarching theme from this is disappointment because there was more. This defense is a defense that deserves to still be in the NFL playoffs. This defense is a defense that deserves to be playing for an AFC championship and maybe a Super Bowl. But the other two sides of the football let you down. Again, those issues, those mistakes, the lack of focus in key moments showed up yet again. Azeez Al-Shire's inability to find the gold jacket tight end for the opposing team in coverage cost the Texans dearly in this game. The offensive line's inability to keep it together late cost this team dearly in this game. The offense's inability to put consistency together and adjust as things get going cost this team dearly in this game. And DeMeco Ryans said it post-game. I'm not encouraged coming out of this one. I'm discouraged. And he should be discouraged. This team had enough on this Saturday in January in the divisional round to beat the defending, reigning Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead. They had enough. And then they proceeded, you've heard, shot themselves in the foot. They proceeded to take a bazooka to their lower half and absolutely destroy their chances at victory. This was a winnable football game. And if you had made this 13-13 in the third quarter, I would have loved to have seen what the ultimate result is. But this is not like, oh, we were better than we were last year because it was a little bit closer than it was last year. And I talked about this. They needed to have more than they did against the Baltimore Ravens. They did. And then at the end of this one, at the end of 60 minutes, they can look around and say, we kept us from winning. With special teams mistakes, with a couple of mental errors on defense, with a couple of issues on offense. And most of these were season-long issues. The offense not knowing if they want to go for it at the end of the half to put 7 points on the board or they want to throttle off. That's been an issue that's popped up a bunch of different times. Coverage issues on the key player for the opposing team. That's been an issue that's popped up a couple of different times. The offensive line, it's been an issue since basically week one for this team. The inability to finish games, it's been an issue for the Texans. So many things popped up that were season-long issues in this game that should be very discouraging for DeMeco Ryans. And coming out of this, my thought process is DeMeco Ryans and Nick Caserio have to do a really good job figuring out what pieces of this roster stick around. DeMeco Ryans has to do a really tough evaluation of what pieces of this offensive coaching staff need to stick around. And then they've got to find a way to elevate what they have to that next level. They are not on the Chiefs level, on the Ravens level, on the Bills level right now. They are not on that level. Those teams don't go out there and help the other team beat them. The Texans played 3 entities today. They played against the Kansas City Chiefs. The referees sucked, and the Texans got in the Texans' way. And that's happened a multitude of times over the course of this season, and it happened yet again in the playoffs in a big moment. We will get to all the various things out of this game. Super Chats will jump to the front of the line. We'll open the lines here. You can get in on video, audio later on. David says, after this game, witnessing the ref bias, I want to know your thoughts on possibly lobbying for the Sky Ref XFL concept. Well, here's another thing that the officials have. They have the ability to have some replay assistants pick things up. They talked about it in the game when they had that awful penalty against Henry To'o and whatever defensive lineman it was. They had the ability to pick that up. They ultimately decided to not pick that flag up. The poor spotting by the officials, they have the ability to fix that. They actually fixed it later on in the game when they gave the Chiefs too much after they had earlier screwed the Texans out of a yard and a first down. So it was a bad performance by the officials, but I think I want to get out here in front of this and say the officials did not cause the Texans to lose this game. The Houston Texans got in the Houston Texans' way and kept them from winning this football game, in addition to the Kansas City Chiefs doing what they can do, which is make a couple of plays here and there, do enough, let you make the mistakes, take advantage of it, and find themselves a way to win. Couple of things from this game, then I'll get to a bunch of your comments. So many mistakes. Special teams alone. Penalty on the big opening drive that they allowed. Missed kick. Missed extra point. Blocked kick. Poor punt from Tommy Townsend. Robert Woods fields the ball inside the 5-yard line on a fair catch. Like, so many different mistakes just from the special teams. Azeez Al-Shaair loses Travis Kelce twice in coverage. One for the biggest reception of Travis Kelce's playoff career. The other one for a touchdown where Mahomes probably should have been sacked or thrown an interception in the red zone. But unfortunately, Azeez Al-Shaair lost the Hall of Fame tight end in coverage and couldn't get him. The offensive line, where do we start on the mistakes? It started with the franchise's mistake to start Shaq Mason again at right guard. He ran out of gas, didn't know what he was doing at times. The blocking scheme's totally broken, so they're allowing free rushers late in the game that force C.J. Stroud to throw the ball away, take sacks. The offensive line mistakes, it extends out to the other blockers. Dalton Schultz, wet paper bag, puts up more resistance than him when it comes to blocking. That was terrible. C.J. Stroud sometimes holds on to the ball too long. There weren't answers for some of the blitzes that the Chiefs sent after them. That's what C.J. Stroud said after the game. Well, that's Bobby Slowick's problem. Again, a lot of these mistakes are things that you've heard over the course of the season. I will say this, outside of Azeez Al-Shaair with the 2 big Travis Kelce plays, feels like the defense did their job. They should be playing still in the playoffs. This is a big-time, elite caliber defense, and the Houston Texans squandered it. This version of the defense squandered it by making too many mistakes to overcome the Kansas City Chiefs. You cannot go to Kansas City, be a team that lives in the margins, and make the amount of mistakes that the Texans did. Again, mistakes will be the theme here. DeMeco Ryans, the 4th and 10 late in the game. Call a timeout. Reorganize things. Maybe punt in that moment because your defense has had some success against these guys. But the Texans beat up on the Texans. And DeMeco Ryans has said it a bunch of different times this year. The Houston Texans played against the other team and the Houston Texans, and they didn't win. I'm paraphrasing there. That's, again, what happened today, with the exception of the defense. The defense, 4-man pressures, good coverage on the outside. 1 wide receiver gets a catch in this game. Patrick Mahomes completed a pass to 1 wide receiver in this game. That's incredible. That's incredible. It's a great job by the defense. You shouldn't have 2 plays be back-breaking moments for this team. But the offense isn't good enough. The special teams was putrid today, and it crushes you. And it crushes you. The blocking for this team is broken. The blocking for this team is absolutely broken. I have no idea why this team decided to put Shaq Mason back in the starting lineup. Shaq Mason got hurt the last time the Texans played the Kansas City Chiefs. He had not played football since then. He had 2 practices. The offensive line with Juice Scruggs at right guard had been fine for 2 weeks. They were fine against the Tennessee Titans. They were fine against the Los Angeles Chargers last week. Putting Shaq Mason back into the starting lineup here was a horrible decision. And you saw it play out eventually right around when a guy who hadn't played football in a month would be tired, the third quarter and the fourth quarter. Now, there were moments for this offensive line where they were enough. But ultimately, they can't play 4 quarters of football. They can't protect C.J. Stroud. The other blockers aren't helping them because Dalton Schultz can't block and Daria Gumbawale can't block and Irv Smith can't block. So ultimately, the blocking is broken for this team. But Blake Fisher had a rough moment. Then he rebounded. Shaq Mason's not very good. Jarrett Patterson feels pseudo one-dimensional. Titus Howard has some rough moments. Laramie Tunsil kind of off on an island, does his thing, takes care of his business. And they had a couple of moments where they ran the ball well, but ultimately you get behind enough and you feel like you can't run the football. You got to throw. You make mistakes blocking, puts you back behind the chains. Then you can't run the football because you're back behind the chains. And you see how everything starts to fold in on itself because these guys can't block. Because this offensive line that they handpicked from last year's draft fell apart and stunk for most of the year. And Laramie Tunsil, that's one that you can excuse. Like, he can go out there and be a mercenary by himself. But the other 4 spots weren't good enough this year. They started the season back in July when they were getting ready for the Hall of Fame game with the offensive line that they imagined they would have coming out of the 2023 draft. It was going to be Tunsil at left tackle, Kenyon Green at left guard, Juice Scruggs at center, Shaq Mason at right guard, and Titus Howard at right tackle. They put that offensive line on the field this season. It sucked, okay? They were slow to make a change at left guard. It nearly got C.J. Stroud killed in the Indianapolis Colts game. It also got him killed in New York. Or it also almost got him killed in New York again after he'd had the issue last year in New York. So they finally make a change. They make a swap. They put Kendrick Green in there. He's not any good. They move stuff around. They put Titus Howard there. They put Juice Scruggs there. He doesn't really get it done at left guard. Patterson at center. He's fine. They finally move some things around. Titus Howard, when he was playing at right tackle, was fine. He plays left guard. He's fine. He's also the 4th highest paid right tackle in football. Like, you can't be fine if that's going to be what you invested in this line. This line is one of the most expensive left tackles in football, one of the most expensive right tackles in football, one of the 15 most expensive guards in football, a 2nd-round pick and a 1st-round pick, and they stunk. And then they made adjustments, and they finally found level here back end of the season. They finally found level at the back end of the season, okay? And then they went and changed it. I'll never listen to continuity as a positive for the offensive line when they're going to start a guy who had been sitting for a month with a knee injury. And then he goes out there and plays terrible, which is what he's done all season long. The blocking is broken. The 5 guys that they select to put out there on a consistent basis aren't good enough. The scheme isn't good enough. The quarterback's adjustment of the blocking isn't good enough. The helpers with the blocking aren't good enough. The blocking's broken on this team, okay? It is broken. They've got to make wholesale changes to the scheme, to the players, to the coaching staff. They've got to make changes to get this blocking on track. You are going nowhere unless this offensive line gets significantly better. Unless this offensive line gets significantly better, you are going nowhere. You'll run yourself into the divisional round wall year after year after year if you don't get better on the offensive line. You will ruin the opportunity for C.J. Stroud to maximize his potential if you don't get better on the offensive line. That has to be solved this offseason. It has to be the main priority this offseason. Offense makes up for everything else. The best way to overcome the defense not having a good day is score more points. The best way to overcome the special teams throwing up all over themselves is to score more points on offense, is to keep those two units off the field. And the Houston Texans did not maximize what they could do with their offensive line this year. They played players who were not good too long because of various levels of investment. Kenyon Green, if he was a 7th-round pick, his ass would have been on the bench earlier. If Shaq Mason wasn't on his second contract, this was his 3rd contract in the league, but his extended contract, he would be on the bench. They got to play the 5 best players. Don't tell me you're going to play the 5 best players each and every week and then not put the 5 best players on the field each and every freaking week, because that is what they do. Putting Kenyon Green out there for so long of the season, costing them opportunities in games, putting Shaq Mason back into the starting lineup when he hasn't played football in a month. That is not one of the 5 best players on the offensive line. That's got to get fixed. That's my biggest issue with this team, is they handpicked this offensive line. It sucked. They stuck with it too long, and then they continued to stick with pieces of the offensive line and elements of the blocking scheme that sucked throughout the course of this season, and it ruined opportunities that you had to succeed offensively. Okay. There we go. The offensive line rant. Done. Okay. Let's do some housekeeping here. Whatever you guys want to talk about, get in the comment section. We'll get to as many comments as we can. In addition to that, I'm going to put a link in the chat right now that to give you the opportunity to get in here live. If you want to get in here live, audio or video, it's pinned at the top of the chat here on YouTube, and you can get in. Take your time, get in there, make sure your camera works, your microphone works, I can hear you, you can hear me. And have fun getting smoked by Baltimore, bitch. Or Buffalo, whichever one. This is the worst Chiefs team that has made it this far recently. That's not a good football team, or that's not anywhere close to as good as that football team needs to be to win a championship. So have fun getting smoked. Quit crying. Yeah, the tears will be coming next week for you, bud. Tears will be coming next week for you. They were beatable today. That's the biggest thing that sticks with you out of this game, is the Kansas City Chiefs, the defending world champions, undefeated at this level with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. They were beatable today, and you did not take advantage of it as a football team. You did not go out there, play to the level that you needed to play to beat the Kansas City Chiefs on a day where they looked beatable. They looked beatable. And mistakes that have shown up all season long, in addition to the worst time in the world for the special teams to melt down, show up and keep the Texans from winning. This couldn't be any further from the truth. I know you were puckered up, Lex Kwando. I know you were so puckered up, you couldn't have driven a threading needle in there. You were so puckered up. Get out of here. Get out of here. You don't know football if you thought this was easy for the Kansas City Chiefs. You saw Mahomes whining and crying like a little baby to the officials. That flop was pathetic. That flop, I'm glad Henry Toto blasted his ass. Okay? That flop was pathetic. That was embarrassing. I'd be embarrassed if I was a Chiefs fan and my quarterback tried to do that. I'd be embarrassed. I'd be embarrassed if CJ Stroud tried to do that and I was a Texans fan. That's pathetic, trying to steal a call when the officials already protect you more than they protect any quarterback in the entire league. Let's talk about the officiating. The officials are not the reason the Texans lost this game, but that third down roughing the passer call is one of the worst roughing the passer calls I've ever seen in my entire life. It extended a drive for the Kansas City Chiefs. It took a little juice out of the Texans defense early on, and it let the Chiefs put points on the board at the end of that drive. That was awful. Later on, they stole 15 yards from the Texans with that other crappy call on Mahomes, where he had laid down. He'd already become a runner, and then they didn't even contact him. And they have ways to go about fixing that in the way that they officiate things. They could pick up flags, and they didn't do it. That was a bad job by the officiating crew. They also misspotted the Xavier Hutchinson third down. Okay, they misspotted it. D'Amico didn't challenge it, which I thought it was worth a challenge. D'Amico Ryans didn't challenge it. Okay, so after they misspotted it, D'Amico Ryans didn't challenge it. Okay, that was a huge issue. They gave the Chiefs a favorable spot later on. Trent McDuffie was more handsy than a drunk guy on prom night with Nico Collins late in the game on a second down. No call. Danielle Hunter got held like a newborn baby. No calls. Awful. Awful. Again, the refs are not the reason they lost. The refs are not the reason they lost. The Texans, by the end of the game, puked all over themselves like the first time someone drank. The Texans beat the Texans with help from the Kansas City Chiefs today. That's what happened. The officials also helped too. Couple of super chats here. Donnie Murray says, Mahomes is the LeBron James of the NFL. I'm sick of his beige ass. I don't know if that's racist or not. I don't think it is. Mahomes gets so many calls that other quarterbacks don't get. So many calls. And it was evident today. You could watch it. And Chiefs fans they bury their head in the sand. They don't want to hear it, but Donnie's right. He gets a LeBron level of calls. He gets an MJ level of calls. And look, they should protect quarterbacks, but the way they did it today for Mahomes was a bit ridiculous. And Chiefs fans don't want to hear it. They're embarrassed by it. It's not good football. The NFL doesn't want to hear it. It's not good football. It's not what anybody wants to watch, but that's what we all watched tonight. Overprotecting of Patrick Mahomes. And again, not the reason the Texans lost. Okay? Not the reasons the Texans lost. Hey, 13 seconds. Guess what? Timeout. Teeman wants to weigh in. Fire away, big dog.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely hard to blame the refs for the loss after the game because, like, Texans had so many self-inflicted wounds, and it was just overall kind of a bad performance. But, I mean, like, the missed calls were momentum flipping calls. Like that Will Anderson one, they got a stop there. That was a stop that they got on third down. And instead it was a 15-yard gain and a first down. I think the Mahomes one where he slid, I think that was also on third down, if I'm not mistaken, right? And he was well short of the line of scrimmage. And there's another 15 yards, and that's their drive extended.
That was a first down, but it moved them into Texans territory.
Yeah, exactly. And then the Shaq Mason holding call when Stroud ran out of the pocket was the exact same hold that Jawan Taylor was doing on Hunter, except Jawan Taylor was basically laying on top of Hunter and not letting him move, and the refs didn't make the call. But I think that like the offense, I was kind of surprised with how good they were moving the football. Like they had that drive coming out of the half, which was probably one of their best drives of the season. They were moving the ball really well. They were able to overcome some, bad situations, but. Yeah,
look, that drive coming out of halftime. If Kaimi Fairbairn hits the extra point, that's the best drive in franchise history. The stupid kicker missed the extra point though, so it's not. I've refrained from making it the best drive in franchise history, but outside of the kick, that's the best drive in franchise history. To eat basically an entire quarter up, to overcome mistakes on that drive, it felt like they had the juice to go and do this. And then the freaking kicker misses the extra point. And Aikman's right. They may say something different. Their body language, their faces, the energy was ripped from their body. It was like you unplugged the electricity from that sideline.
Yeah, it's the most Texans thing to happen. You have a perfect drive, take so much time off the clock, and then you miss the extra point. The easiest part of the whole drive is kicking the extra point, and you fail to do that. Yet you do all the impossible things well. I thought, I was surprised more people were mentioning the McDuffie thing on Nico. He was getting very handsy, and they called Derek Stingley on a pass interference in Kansas City earlier, that was way less egregious than that.
Yeah, they were ticky-tacky in the first game, and then they let the DBs play a bunch here in the second one. Like,
yeah.
And then late in the game, I mean, he turned Nico. He had his outside arm and turned him, and the official flag in the pocket. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I mean, the future's bright. Like, our best players are young guys. Like, I think Will Anderson is a future defensive player of the year. That guy is an animal. Like, you know, he can win games on his own.
There's a lot of really good players, so it's tough to be this guy. I texted a buddy during the game, and I said, Will Anderson has best player in the league on defense potential. He may not get there because there's other really good defensive players, but like he has the potential to be the best defensive player in all of football.
Yeah, because not only can he rush the passer, but on the edge, he's one of the best run, if not the best run stopping edge in the league. Like, he seals off that edge like I've never seen before. It's just unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, disappointing loss, but what can you expect when, you know, you don't have your wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. You know the refs are going to call in favor of Mahomes, and, you know, beating the Chiefs in Arrowhead is never easy, and with this team it was going to be near impossible. You would have pretty much Stroud would have had to have a Tampa Bay from last year like game, I think. Maybe 400 yards, 5 touchdowns, and Nico would have had to turn into Jerry Rice. Mixon would have had to turn into Barry Sanders. The O-line would have had to block like the Lions O-line does. You know, the defense would have had to be Legion of Boom. Like, everything would have had to go perfect, I think.
Yeah, and and you know what? It didn't happen. Any of that, and then they threw up on themselves late in the game. So, team, and I'm gonna keep it moving, man. Appreciate you jumping in. Appreciate you jumping in all the time, and we'll see you here in the off season too.
Yeah, for sure, Stoots. Thank you.
Good stuff from team. And I see Sumo, I see Gio down there. Let's get some of these super chats. I'll get to you guys on the video streams as well. Texan in Virginia says 11-12 playoffs, 13 collapse, 15-16 playoffs, 17 collapse. I mean, they went to the playoffs in 17, so 17 was when Deshaun went down. 16 was when they went to the playoffs with Osweiler. 17, they would have probably made the playoffs if Deshaun doesn't get hurt. So I'm going to say 17 asterisk. 18-19 playoffs, 2020 collapse, 23-24 playoffs, 2025. Not a collapse. I believe in DeMeco Ryans. I believe in CJ Stroud. Look, Stroud showed some big-time stuff today. You got to coach out some of the inconsistencies in his game. You got to make sure that his weapons are healthy in the playoffs next year. But Stroud showed, like, he should have done enough here in the playoff run in these 8 quarters of playoff football. There should be enough there that you should be pretty excited about what CJ Stroud's going to bring to the table in 2025. Okay. And yeah, there were some questions about what's he going to do after the 2024 regular season. This playoff run, these 8 quarters, they should give you some confidence that 2025 is going to be pretty solid. Texan in Virginia, thank you for the super chat. Need all of that, the super chat. Texans offense needs an entire rework. Only a few starters should be back depending on what they plan in the offseason. Other than that, they all need to go, including Slowick and the rest of the staff. Mason starting is reason enough. Yeah, this offensive staff, man, they got to make some changes. I would, if Bobby Slowick stays, which I have a sneaky suspicion he's going to, if Bobby Slowick stays, they've got to wholesale change a lot of the coaching staff. Obviously, offensive line coach, but you need a new wide receivers coach. You need a new tight ends coach. And then you got to scout better to have better depth on the offense as well. And then you got to swap out some players. You got to go get a number 2 receiver, got to go get a number 3 receiver, got to go get some tight end help, got to go get a new offensive lineman, backup running back, though Damian flashed a little bit here at the late part. I'd still bring somebody in to push him and make it tough for him to be the backup running back for this team. But yeah, there's a lot of changes that need to be made on the offense. Bobby Slowick's one of them. I'm in favor of moving on. I don't believe the franchise is going to do it, but we can talk about that a little bit later on. Need all that. Appreciate you for the super chat. Sumo Gio, I see you. We'll get to you here in just a minute. We'll get to the other comments as well. Hard to beat an NFL team when you're playing against them and the refs. We should 100% be playing next week. We beat the Chiefs, just not the refs. Nate, I got to disagree with you. The Texans didn't beat the Chiefs and the Texans. The Texans helped the Chiefs beat the Texans. Okay? The Texans got in their own way. A lot of portions of this game, special teams, offensive issues into the first half operation, that 4th and 10 operation. They got in their own way a couple different times. So it's not all on the refs. It's not all on the refs. Yeah, boy Dex, some way, somehow need to get the number 1 seed next season because we play way better at home. How about the 2 or the 3 seed so you can actually play a home game? How about you stop being the 4 seed? Okay, get the 1 or the 2, guarantee yourself 2 home games. Guarantee yourself a couple of home games if you keep winning. Go get the 1 or the 2. That's why you can't piss away games like when you lead Detroit big at halftime and you don't score in the second half. That's why you can't piss away a Jets game on Thursday night when you come in and they're a franchise ready to quit. Okay, that's why you can't piss away the Green Bay Packers games. That's why you can't piss away a game to the Tennessee Titans at home late in the season. Like that crap can't happen if you want to be the 2 seed, the 1 seed, the 3 seed. You know, that stuff can't happen. If you aren't the 2 or the 3, at least you're not playing Kansas freaking City off a big rest. So, yeah, your boy Dex, you're right. You got to play better, man. You got to get some more stuff. Sumo, fire away. Gio, you're next.
Hello. I got some questions for you.
Go for it.
First of all, I want to talk about, dude, CJ low-key, like this week and last week against the Chargers, he's kind of looking like his rookie year self. Like, he's looking good.
A lot more 2023 to these past 8 quarters of football.
He has the confidence back, is what it seems like to me. He just – and the legs, too. He needs to use his legs more often. Running just makes it harder for the defenses. It's good.
That's got to be an element of his game going forward.
Because I'm sure Slowick's going to stay. So, I mean, you gotta keep that in there. I mean, he's doing great. I know they don't want him hurt, but –
And some of that CJ just – he's got to decide to go. Like it's not. I'm not advocating for called design runs for CJ Stroud, but he's got to decide to go when stuff's not there.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have him on like options like Lamar or anything. But yeah, when he knows the run, yeah, he should definitely run. He's looking good though. I like it. I mean, yeah, it's nice. So, what are your thoughts on Wyatt Teller or Batonio out of Cleveland, left guard, right guard?
I mean, look, those guys will be highly coveted should they hit free agency. If you go trade for them, they're already expensive. So, like, you know, there's a financial adjustment that you have to make and a financial allocation you have to make to the offensive line. You get rid of Shaq Mason, it costs you dead money. You get rid of Titus Howard, it costs you dead money. And then there's the cost to replace those guys. In addition to, you probably have to pay a veteran wide receiver. You probably have to pay some depth players over on defense or offense. Like, there's only so much you can do. So it has to be kind of like a bargain guy that you think you can maybe coach him up or just fits exactly what you do. Maybe a big investment in one of the guard spots. But, you know, your tackle situation is squared away. Laramie's your left tackle, Blake Fisher's your right tackle. So it's really guard, center that you're looking to adjust. And I would tell you that Scruggs could occupy one of those 2 spots, you know, Scruggs or Patterson at guard. So it's like, you know, how can you how can you manage, you know, do you go with an older guy with some injury concerns? You know, Batonio didn't play very well this year.
Yeah, well, better than what we had.
Sure.
Kendrick Green.
Here's the thing, though, Sumo. I'm not looking for better than what the Texans had. I'm looking for elite play. Like, that's like, I want guys to be elite. Like,
I fully want that too, but I mean, are we going to get that out of a rookie first-round pick? I mean, he might not even be good. Nick's got a bad rap for drafting linemen, so it's scary.
They've got to find somebody in that building that can figure out what to do with linemen. You're right about that. You're right about that. It doesn't have to be like, again, I think you saw it with Juice Scruggs in the lineup.
Juice has shown he can be good. I don't know why he didn't play.
Put 5 guys out there that can play together.
Yeah.
You don't need Tunsil at left tackle and Quentin Nelson at left guard and Creed Humphrey at center and Trey Smith at right guard and Lane Johnson at right tackle to be good on the offensive line.
I'd love it. Let's do it.
You know what the Chiefs did today? They played their left guard at left tackle and they had a backup left guard in there. They were pretty good on protecting Mahomes. Like, that's one of the best defensive lines in football. Like, it doesn't have to be 5 badass dudes to have good offensive line play. You just have to have 5 guys that can play together, execute a sound blocking scheme. The blocking scheme's a disaster.
It's bad. I think a big part of it too is just chemistry. Like, just every week it's been a new line formation. It's just guys aren't getting time to work together. I think is a big impact on it too.
Well, and they had chemistry for 2 weeks, and then you start Shaq Mason and played football in a month. Like, that's baffling.
Did anyone answer to or ask D'Amico what that was? Did anyone get to that?
To my knowledge, he did not get asked about that. That's likely a Monday conversation.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I've heard you talking a lot about Fairbairn. What do you think there? Because let's be real for a second. Everyone's going to defend Fairbairn. I know he's our leading scorer and whatnot, but dude, he sucks in outdoor stadiums and in the cold. He's terrible. He's good in domes and indoors, but outdoors he's horrible.
He looked very Hawaiian today.
He cannot kick. And you can be a good kicker in the regular season, but we need someone who can make the kicks in the playoffs. If you can't kick in the cold,
like his heritage was showing today. Like he looked like he was uncomfortable in the weather.
Yeah, he did not want to be there. You could very tell. Like Landry was saying, his body language was not showing like he wanted to be out there.
And look, I mean, we've talked about cutting offensive linemen or making an adjustment here or Dalton Schultz there. Like Kaime's the kicker next year. Like you can't do anything to, you don't save any money cutting him.
No, I wouldn't cut him, but it would just definitely needs to get more reps in or something. I don't know.
I don't know. It's a between the ears thing with him.
I don't know. How long is he on contract for? We got him for a while.
He signed for the next 2 seasons. He got a new deal he got a 3-year deal this past year.
Yeah. I don't know. I doubt there's any good kickers you could probably draft anyways. I don't know how to waste a pick on a kicker.
Like we can't talk about changing the kicker if financially doesn't make sense. So he's just got to be better. Or here's the big thing: score more touchdowns, and the field goals don't matter.
That's true. But that's a slow thing.
Yeah. Well, offense thing. Let's fix the offense, then we'll worry about the kicker here. One more thing, Sumo. What you got for us? One more thing.
Okay. Who's your draft guy? Number 1 pick 25. I think we got. Who you thinking?
I mean, I want a wide receiver.
I like Ibuka.
Yeah, he should be there. Luther Burden from Missouri, probably not going to fall that far. Somebody's obviously going to make themselves a first rounder. Senior Bowl had some good guys last year. I'll be there next week to check that thing out. So
for me,
I don't have it right now. I mean, there's probably going to be offensive linemen in a lot of people's minds. I understand it. Don't love it though. Don't love offensive linemen in the first round.
Tyler Booker's pretty good, but I don't know if he's going earlier than that.
Scout people, he's sort of fallen off the radar here the past few weeks here for scout people.
I think
he was supposed to be first round guy. Now he's kind of like a top 60 guy. And now it's like guys are going to pass him up a little bit. It'll be interesting.
For me, it's Booker, Ibuka, and Malachi Starks. If Malachi Starks is there, I know we don't need defense, but if Starks is there, dude, if he's even like in a 7-pick radius, I would trade up for him. That would be insane.
Might pull my hair out if they pick a defender.
Dude, come on, it would be nice though. It would be nice.
See, he's not gonna be there. I don't think he's gonna be kicking pretty high.
All we need is Barnett, dude. If he keeps running back touchdowns for us,
Sumo,
we don't need to score.
I appreciate you, man. We'll keep it moving.
Yeah, you have a good night.
Good stuff, Gio. You've been patiently waiting. I'm gonna get to you. I'm gonna get to the super chats. Get to the chat as well. Fire away, Gio.
Yeah, man. Tough loss. Appreciate y'all having me, man. Unpopular opinion. Obviously, the scheme sucks. I know Bobby's gonna stay here, but I thought the play calling was pretty all right. Execution was bad. Refs were bad, but yeah, man, can't take 8 sacks. Can't be moving backwards. Is there any hope Bobby in the offseason sits in the office and realizes every defense loads up the box and drops guys and then sends guys because the offensive line can't read it. So do you think he sits in the offseason's like, I'm going to develop some quick game and I'm going to develop some dump offs for CJ? I think if that happens, the offense looks totally different.
I sure hope so. And you got guys that can get open real quick, so that's another thing too is, Xavier Hutchinson, John Mechie, they're not winning routes quick. Diggs could do it. Tank did it a couple of weeks ago before the injury. Like, they got to go win quick. Slowick's got to change a lot. He's got to get in like take that drive out of the third quarter or out of halftime in the third quarter. Take that and dissect it and find out every little bit of it that worked and spread that out over the course of this offense. I just wonder if they changed too much because they had wide receiver availability and they got away from what they were good at last year early. And it was a challenge to come back to it in the middle of the year. They want to run the football. They weren't smash mouth. They also weren't spread it out, throw it all over you either. So it's they don't have an identity. They've talked about identity for weeks. They don't have an identity, so they got to find that in the offseason. And if Bobby's staying, they definitely got to find that.
Yeah, totally agree. Other question. I've been on y'all's channel for a while, man. I kind of like Dameon Pierce. I thought he played pretty good. I like the double back set with Pierce and Mixon. Do you think we see more of that?
I mean, if Dameon Pierce is your running back 2 next year going into the season, hopefully you've addressed literally everything else. They need a guy more talented than Dameon Pierce at running back 2. Like, part of the reason Pierce hadn't been on the field is it doesn't feel like they trust him to be on the field. So it's difficult to say put Pierce on the field more when, like, it's been low pressure situations when he has been successful.
Yeah, word. I feel that.
I can't take Mixon off the field that much either. Like, he's still really good.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I just I like to, keep Mixon fresh for the playoffs. But that didn't seem to be a problem. He looked good. Last thing, defense played good, but I was kind of surprised D'Amico didn't blitz a lot. I know Patrick's good against the blitz, but seeing how they blitzed us, I wish we could have maybe done some of the same.
I wonder if he got nervous after they sent that safety blitz. Azeez didn't cover Kelsey, and then Kelsey's running for 49 yards. So yeah. I wonder if D'Amico's like, God, I call the one blitz. We don't take care of what we're supposed to on the back end, and it burns us. So I wonder if he's like, screw it. I got to trust the 4 guys, and we'll just figure it out in coverage.
Yeah, cool, man. All right, I'll let you be. Also, a lot of D'Amico haters. I don't think he's a bad coach, man. Offense sucks a little bit, but give him time. Second-year play caller, second-year head coach. We're going to get it done next year.
Man, if they could just get better on offense, it would help eliminate some of the necessary perfection that it feels like he has to have from the non-defense side, from like the game management, stuff like that. Like, if you had a little bit more room for error, he'd look better. But you don't have any room for error right now. But you're right. Anybody who thought D'Amico Ryans wasn't the guy, I feel like the end of season, last week and this week, it shows you he is the guy.
Yeah, no fall off. I don't think we fall off a cliff next season because of him. No. So,
Gio, appreciate you jumping in, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man, y'all are dope, man. Appreciate the channel.
Good stuff from Gio. Dion, I see you. We'll get to you in a second. Some super chats to get to first. Patrick Ding says, disappointing into a disappointing season. Most dependable thing was quality Cody Stoots coverage. Appreciate you. Patrick, I appreciate you. You're in these channels. You're in the locker room. You're in SNL as well. You're a very loyal supporter. Appreciate the super chat. And the coverage is not stopping. The season's over. The off season's here. I don't think you're going to find anybody that covers the offseason better than I do. I really don't. From free agency to the draft to being excited about the draft to going to Mobile to cover the Senior Bowl to the Combine to, just talking to draft people to figuring out using the resources to figure out the money for free agency, all that. I'm proud of how I cover the offseason. So I'm ready to cover this offseason, even though it got here sooner than most of us wanted it to. Patrick, thank you for the kind words. Dylan, what the hell was that 4th and 10? That was a bad job. That was a really bad job. I don't know that they had to kick it. I really don't. I don't know that they had to kick it. I would also tell you that drive. So that drive, Kansas City goes up 20-12. The ensuing Texans drive, you get 24 yards from Nico over the middle after you get a really good return. You get a really good return from Xavier Hutchinson. Second down, Nico Collins, 24 yards. You're into Kansas City territory. Nobody gets open. Pressure. Bad throw to Mixon. Incomplete pass. Free rusher. Incomplete pass to Jared Wayne. Free rusher. Incomplete pass to Dameon Pierce. At that point, it feels like Steve Spagnuolo's kind of got Bobby's number at that moment. Consideration to kicking should have been given. If you're going to go for it, you've got to have the play ready to call, let everybody know they're going, and get lined up. Once the clock starts to tick down to breaking the huddle under 10 seconds, you've got to call a timeout. If you feel dead set and like you have to go for it, you have to run one of your best plays, and you have to be in the position to run it the best way. That was a huge failing by D'Amico Ryans. That was a huge failing by everybody involved in the offensive operation. You have to be able to run your best play if you feel like you have to have 4th and 10. You can't be, you can't be rushing to the line and then have Dalton Schultz. I can't imagine the best play has Dalton Schultz blocking George Karlaftis. So you got to run the best play, and you got to have the time to set it up and run it. And that's not what they did. And that was one of the beginning of the end moments. Dylan, thank you for the super chat. Nate Davis, why do we not go get a soccer player like Dallas did? It worked for literally everyone who's done it so far. We're not doing kicker change conversations. Kaimi's locked in financially. They're not changing the kicker. If he gets hurt, they go find somebody else off the street. He's good in low-pressure situations. Keep the pressure away from him by scoring more points on offense. Tay, Bobby needs to load up his office and go far away. I think there's an outside chance they make a change, but I would tell you it's more likely than not he's back. I don't believe that's the correct decision. I feel like there were enough warts and enough issues from this season that you should make a change at the offensive coordinator spot, but I don't believe they're going to do that. Dion, I'm going to get to you here in just a moment. One more super chat here. I feel if we wiped away big mistakes we made on offense and the dumb calls by the refs, the Texans could seriously be celebrating right now, which makes it worse. Absolutely need all that. Absolutely. They had enough from the defense. The offense was in some positions. Now, maybe they don't end up making the plays, but the offense was in some positions to give them a chance to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. They helped the Chiefs beat the Texans. The Texans helped the Chiefs beat the Texans on this very not fine night. You're very much right about that. Need all that. Appreciate you for the super chat. Keep the chat coming. Finally, some sensibility from a Chiefs fan. The NFL treats Mahomes like Brady. Yeah, and it's dumb. It's dumb. The people want him in timeout, though, so we're going to time him out a little bit, too. Did that work? Put the user in timeout. All right, maybe he's in timeout, maybe he's not. I don't know. You know who's not in timeout? Dion. Dion wants to weigh in. Fire away, man. What you got?
Man, I think you're kind of off on saying that the Texans beat themselves because, like, you don't get in those situations without them setting them up for that. Like, giving them 10 points puts us in a hole where now they're pressing, they're out of their sorts, they're doing other things. So I think we're kind of off on saying that, like, we beat ourselves. Like, yeah, we missed opportunities with the field goal kicks and stuff like that, but at the same time, it's like it's really tough when the refs are calling things that aren't happening. It's just a fact. Yeah.
Look, you're certainly right about some of these things. Like the officials having a bad play or a bad call that extends a drive. That's not the Texans beating the Texans. But when the opposing team starts on your 13-yard line on the first drive of the game, that's beating yourself. Like, it's beating yourself. You gave up a 60-yard return, and then your idiot special teams guy ripped his helmet off and threw it.
But you stood up and you got them to get 3 points out of that. You made the best out of that situation. So it's not really beating yourself. The only parts where we beat ourselves is like when we had to be back on the field again. Some of these plays that they score on offense wouldn't have happened if they would have just been off the field. So,
yeah. I mean, look, I would tell you too, like, okay, 3rd and 5, nobody blocks Charles Omenihu, and you lose, 3 yards, and then all of a sudden you got to kick a 55-yard field goal. You probably shouldn't be kicking a 55-yard field goal, and you shouldn't have lost 3 yards on a 3rd down sack because nobody blocked Charles Omenihu. Like, that's beating yourself. Yeah. Omenihu didn't swim move somebody and crush someone to make it happen. Like, you let him get in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we could disagree on how the game was.
Sure. Look, there's definitely some, and I don't want to sit here and act like the Chiefs didn't do anything. Obviously, Kelce goes out there and makes plays, and the Texans took away everything that wasn't Travis Kelce, and they made it work with just Travis Kelce for a good portion of that game. They deserve a lot of accolades for that. And then Steve Spagnuolo, he dialed that thing up perfectly at the perfect time late in the game. He deserves accolades for that. But the Texans made a lot of mistakes that were unforced errors. If it was tennis, they hit the ball in the damn net way too many times.
Yeah. It's just when you're put in those positions because they pretty much gave them 10 points,
Sure.
Yeah, it
What else
makes
you
sense.
got for me, Dion?
Man, all right. So what do you think? O-line versus wide receiver in the draft. How would you build it? O-line in the free agency or O-line in draft? What are you thinking? Because those are the two glaring holes.
Look,
Also upgrading second string running back. That's a
I look around the NFL and I look at who the best wide receivers in the league are, and they're almost all first round picks. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Brian Thomas, Drake London, Malik Neighbors, CeeDee Lamb. Brock Bowers in the wide receiver, but he's a first round investment. Like, those are all top 8 yardage guys. They're all first rounders. Now, obviously, you've got Nico Collins, who's really good, who wasn't a first rounder. Amon-Ra St. Brown's one of the best wide receivers in football, drafted after Nico Collins. Like, you can find guys. Ladd McConkey, really good, second round pick, 34th overall, basically a first rounder. I think an early investment in wide receiver is wise because I want battle-tested dudes on that offensive line. They've invested in youth and guys who aren't battle-tested, and that has been an issue. This was Titus Howard's second playoff game of his career. He's been in the league for 6 seasons. Shaq Mason, battle-tested, probably too battle-tested. He fell apart this season. And then your other guys are young guys. Juice Scruggs, second year. Jared Patterson, second year. Kenyon Green, third year, but basically a second year because he didn't even play last year. So, I want someone who's played a lot of football to come in there. Not as much as Shaq Mason, but I want someone to come in who's played a lot of football to help solidify this offensive line. That's a free agent, or, you steal a guy off a roster with a trade. Maybe some team's in a financial issue. You grab a guy that way. So I'd go wide receiver or offensive weapon early, free agency for the big guys. Now, we'll know because free agency happens before the draft. So we'll kind of know where and what they can and should and need to do with how they operate in free agency.
Okay, got you. D'Amico, do you think D'Amico's going to be a boss and fire? He's going to Donald Trump, Bobby Slowick. He's going to.
Yes, I think he's going to make Bobby uncomfortable, and I think that's going to lead to guys around Bobby getting fired. I would tell you there's going to be changes on the offensive staff. I don't believe it's going to be Bobby. Now, again, I'm in favor of doing that. I would fire Bobby Slowick if I was D'Amico Ryans. It's hard. It's hard. You're friends with him. You came up with him at the 49ers. It ain't working. It doesn't work. So it's not good enough. Make the change. Buffalo is the perfect example of don't wait too long. If they'd waited
mid-season.
If they'd waited too long, Joe Brady maybe is coaching somebody else. Instead, they're gonna play the Baltimore Ravens tomorrow and might play in the AFC Championship game. John Harbaugh is the perfect example of it's hard. John Harbaugh didn't want to fire Greg Roman. It was time to fire Greg Roman.
He fired Greg Roman?
John Harbaugh. So when Roman was in Baltimore, they moved on from Greg Roman.
I'm getting
Jim and John.
Yeah.
So John Harbaugh, he went and got the best offensive mind from college that year. Todd Monken, Lamar Jackson went back-to-back MVPs.
Yeah.
It's okay.
They have to make that tough decision though, because it can't be just fire the people around him. It's got to be.
I know.
The head of the dragon. You gotta cut that thing out.
Bobby's the top offensive mind in the building. He did not do good enough this year. I would make the change. I don't believe they're going to do that. I believe they're going to give him the opportunity to fix it. I also believe they're going to make it very clear there's a body in the building that's taking over if you fail. They have to have that type of guy.
Who's good enough that's willing to just take a backstage role to someone who has to prove it? Make the tough decision, get him out of there, and get somebody.
I'm with you, Dion. You're preaching to the choir here. I already believe that they should make the change. If they don't make the change, they have to have Plan B in the building, and that's not anybody that's already in the building. You know what I'm saying? Just because you don't get a new OC doesn't mean the next OC can't be on the staff. Have somebody ready, preferably somebody with some experience. Have somebody ready to go out there and put some more experience around him. My God, I was looking at the Chargers staff versus the Texans staff ahead of that game on the offense. Greg Roman, all the years of experience, calling plays, all that kind of stuff. But so many of the other guys. Shane Day's been a coach in the league for a long time, coach quarterbacks for a long time. Marcus Brady previously was an offensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts. He was on that team. They had a bunch of guys who coached a lot of football. You look at the Texans, not a lot of guys have coached a lot of football. And that's a product of younger head coach, younger coach in the league, hadn't been around for a long time. But that's where Nick Caserio can come in and help you go find some old guys and meld and mesh what you need to do.
They need to do something quick. They're going to waste that window. They're going to waste that opportunity to upgrade the team as much as possible.
Yep.
On CJ's rookie deal.
Yeah, you got 3 more seasons before that contract becomes very expensive.
Because I'm assuming we have to pay Stingley this year.
So Stingley, and then again that deal will get extremely expensive right about the same time CJ does. And by the way, Will Anderson's one of the best young defensive players in all of football.
So you got to pay them at the same time.
3 seasons. You have 3 seasons before you have a extreme financial commitment to 2, 3, 4 players. Because, by the way, by the time CJ's money hits big time, that's when Nico needs another contract too. So there's always guys that need to get paid. You got to protect the tent poles. You got to get them paid. You got to have them. You got to have complete certainty that they're the guys. You pay the wrong guy, Titus Howard, it hurts you. You pay the wrong guy, Whitney Merciless from a few years ago, it hurts you. I'm certain CJ is going to be worth the money by the time you have to pay him. Same with Will. Derek Stingley is worth the money. Nico was worth the money you paid him last year. Awesome. So you have to have utmost certainty when you pay
Nico actually outplayed. Like, he played better than his money's worth.
Nico should go back to the table and be like, hey, can I get a little bit more?
He needs to, yeah. But, I mean, all in all, I think if they're going to stick on Bobby Slowick, I think they're wasting time. I think they need to get somebody in there with experience. Start learning how to swing when you don't have a run game, swing the ball out. Other teams are doing it. You watch Sunday Ticket. I'm just watching low-ranked offenses.
It looks easy.
They're making it look easy. They're making it look
Carolina with all their issues. It looks easy in Carolina.
It looks easy. They're just, I mean, it's just having options for them. It's not every play can't be a 30-yard play. I mean, sometimes you just got to dump it off. I just don't see why we're wasting time when people have three running backs that they're rotating in and out, making plays. Easy options for tight ends just to do a little block and go out in a quick little route for 2 yards. Just something for positive yardage, but we just can't. I mean, we're inept in that part of the organization.
You're right about that. Dion, man, I appreciate you jumping in. I'm gonna keep it moving.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate what you do.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you for watching. Thank you for jumping in and talking. And hey, I love a little dissenting opinion from time to time.
Yeah, man, it's not all us shooting in the foot. They gotta call it. Everyone's saying that the refs. I mean, they really did it for them. They gave it to them.
Not great. Dion, appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Good stuff from Dion. A couple of super chats to get to. Zach says 9 sacks. Should have kept the same old line that you won a playoff game with. Yeah, novel idea, right, Zach? It was only 8, by the way. Like, don't cheat them. Don't cheat them. It's only 8. It's only 8 sacks and a 52% pressure rate. Don't cheat them, Don't cheat them. It's only 52% pressure rate. Okay. Zach, appreciate the super chat, man. ESG Soccer. Osama bin Slowick got to go. Come on, man. Shanahan offense is overrated. If they get rid of Bobby Slowick, I would like somebody from the Sean McVay tree. And I know you're going to say, well, that's kind of the Shanahan tree. Nah, not so fast, my friend. I like that Sean McVay offense. Although, if you want to go get a different offense, different tree, different style, go for it. Go for it. Try new things. Like you're a female at college for the first time. Experiment. Space City Ballers slinging some arrows at John Mechie. Mechie is ass, sadly. Only still on team because of his story and friendship with CJ. Gotta get guys in the building that push the wide receivers. Tank Dell's not playing next year. I'm not breaking news, but, the likelihood of him playing next year, damn near zero. Stefon Diggs, you shouldn't re-sign him. Xavier Hutchinson, couple of nice plays today. He hasn't shown it on a consistent basis. Same with John Mechie. You got to get guys in there that can push them. Anderson Fontura. One thing, though, we can't treat this like a 2-year thing, the O-line. We sucked at that since 2019. It's like, don't fix it over 2 years, fix it this offseason, I think is what you're saying. I'm with you. Diddy Stoots, what are you talking about? I'm not the only one. Let's go Hutch. If he's in the building next year, that's fine. He just needs to be wide receiver 6 or wide receiver 5. And then you need to have a young guy behind him. Nate Davis, to the 52% pressure rate, he still went 19 of 28 with over 220 yards and 42 yards rushing. We got to give CJ his flowers. He showed up. Stroud had a really good 8 quarters in the playoffs. It eased some of the doubt that I had from the 2024 regular season, certainly. He had a really good 8 quarters in the playoffs. 6 quarters maybe. Overall total. But solid game by CJ Stroud. Couple of moments that you could, nitpick from him. He missed some check down stuff. When he sees it, he's got to rip it more often. But, Stroud should have eased some concerns from people. Nate Davis, appreciate you for the super chat. Space City Ballers, right at Stroud. CJ missed a check down TD to Dare, seeing ghosts. There's good and there's bad from CJ Stroud. There was a lot more good today than there was bad. So I'm going to take that. Some of the stuff that CJ struggles with is going to get better when the team gets better. Some of the stuff that CJ deals with, the checkdowns and the offensive line and scrambling and not being comfortable and not hitting guys in the execution of the play, that's going to get better when the team gets better. And some of it, yeah, he's got to elevate it from time to time. He does that pretty good job of that. There were some awesome moments and plays from CJ Stroud in this game. There were some awesome ones. Todd says no more OCs from the Shanahan tree. Over and done with. That's fair. It's fair. Juan says something absolutely crazy. Bring back Cooks. Don't do that. I liked Hutch last couple of games. If he can show that next season, he can be a wide receiver 3, I believe. No. What's his wide receiver 3 about Xavier Hutchinson? Ryan Matthew, super chat. Feels like the offense and defense are 2 different teams when it comes to intensity and grit. Yeah, Dalton Schultz's blocking effort is probably the best example of that. Dalton Schultz's inability to block people is, boy, it pisses me off. Yeah, they do not have the same level of grit and determination. You're right about that, Ryan. How do you fix that? You make some changes. Offensive staff, offensive players, maybe offense as a whole. Zach says, our wideouts were trash besides Nico Schultz, no-show. Go get Garrett Wilson, draft O-line, start using mixing on checkdowns. Boy, Zach, I got to tell you, man, I got to think Garrett Wilson's pretty expensive. Probably 2 first-round picks. I don't really love that. Plus, you got to pay him right away. I don't really love that, man. I don't love Garrett Wilson. You can go find you some first-round wide receivers, though. And then maybe a veteran or a reclamation project, kind of like, Cleveland found Jerry Jeudy this year as a reclamation project. Go find a reclamation project. Jake, Dalton got to go. Peter, not a big fan of Brandon Cooks. Cooks is a bleeping loser. I definitely think he's a good wide receiver 3 option, definitely on deep balls. We see different Xavier Hutchinsons. Trade Tunsil and Howard, draft linemen and receivers. F-Rod. Sounds good. It's not always the easiest thing to do, but sounds good. Dalton really pisses me off. He sucks at blocking, runs like a turtle that makes a clutch catch. He does have a nice play from time to time. Every time Jared Wayne gets on the field, I flinch. Rightfully so. Lots of good wide receiver options coming up in free agency, though. I do not know who's coming up in free agency from a wide receiver standpoint. I hand up candidly, I don't know. But I can pull it up real quick. If it's something silly, like if there's some like silly names in here and you got me, then props to you if that happens. I mean, T. Higgins too expensive. Keenan Allen's old. Amari Cooper, you could probably live with it. Chris Godwin coming off a serious injury. Brandon Cooks, no thanks. Hopkins, no thanks. Deontay Johnson, no thanks. Mike Williams, no thanks. Robert Woods, no thanks. Hollywood Brown, maybe. Darius Slayton, maybe. Demarcus Robinson from the Rams. Hey, if you go get a McVay guy, bring in Demarcus Robinson. Kind of convincing me here. Yeah, so look, I don't want wide receiver to be the main reason. I don't want free agency to be the main way you get a wide receiver. That's not what I want. Any good wideouts in this draft that you prefer? Ooh, Zach. Now you're speaking my language. This is where I want them to go with the wide receiver situation. The kid from Arizona, McMillan, he's not going to be there. So then you start looking at Luther Burden from Missouri. He's awesome. I know when you look at the stats, you're going to be like, really, Cody? He's awesome. 61 catches, 676 yards, 6 touchdowns. He's awesome. And I'm going to tell you that Missouri's offense is archaic and stupid, but Luther Burden's the truth. Igbuka, the kid from Ohio State, he is very good. Obviously, CJ Stroud knows him. He knows Bond. Golden is interesting. Tez Johnson is sort of Dellish. The Stanford kid is a fun watch. Alec Manor, see him at the Senior Bowl. So there's some guys, man. I like them. Probably not as many top guys as last year, like Neighbors last year and Brian Thomas Jr. and all those, McConkey, like he went 34th overall. Like probably not as many as those guys, but there's some guys. You can find some guys. Appreciate you, Zach. Cade Campisi. Why rush and must have fourth down and stop running the ball off season? We must address running back and wide receiver depth. Love you. Thanks for all the coverage of the season, man. Hey, love back to you, man. Love back to you. Appreciate the super chat. And yeah, that fourth down, the rushed fourth down. Hate it. And if you get some, better rushing attack going, get some linemen that you trust, get a rushing attack that you trust a little bit more, makes a lot of stuff easy, man. Makes a lot of stuff easy. Hutch is still a puppy. Needs another year to get his Nico on. Stop it, Rick. That's not happening. This was one of his better games. I'll give you that. Joseph T. We do not need to draft O-line. Buy those dudes. I like guys who've been a little battle tested. This will be in national media headlines of Washington wins tonight. Is Jaden Daniels better than CJ Stroud? Cool. I literally don't care what happens with Jaden Daniels. I hope he beats the Lions because the Lions have gotten a little full of themselves. And I hope that Jaden Daniels goes on every podcast that CJ was on last year and they deal with it and the Texans don't have to deal with it. And CJ gets to relax and rest and get ready for next year. Trade for Sutton. Cortland Sutton? They're not trading him. He's one of the key pieces of their offense. New rule knowing New England Patriots players and no softies from Hawaii. You can't play in the cold. It's fair, I guess. Zach Rose. So, if you were Nick, which are you drafting in the first round? I mean, I'm going to try to get Luther Burden. Unless something pops up in the draft process that I don't love, I would try to get Luther Burden. Trey Harris out of Ole Miss, maybe in the second round, if you want to go second round. But, Luther Burden's 2024, not as good as his 2023, but there's a lot to like about Luther Burden. Probably one of the 20 best guys in this draft. 5'11", Speedy, 208, 9 touchdowns, 1,200 yards last year. That's my guy right there. I think Luther Burden's my early guy as I kind of dig into the draft process. I'll have 10 guys coming out of. I can already tell you I'm going to love Xavier Restrepo from Miami. I'm going to be pounding the table for Xavier Restrepo from Miami. I just know I'm going to fall in love with him. Like, I got a type. Restrepo's my type. Okay. Houston tight end shouldn't be blocking George Karlaftis. Thank you. Chiefs fan, speaking some sense. Hopefully we all know that. We need a safety / nickel. Kinda. Like Jimmy's back next year. Petrie's back next year. You need depth at safety. Bring back Eric Murray. Go get a young guy that maybe could play into Jimmy's role or Petrie's role. Amos Pandeline. Egbuka's the Ohio State receiver. Bond or Golden, I'm assuming, is who you're talking about. Yeah, there's some options. Guys, we don't have to go to the offseason just yet. Ben Johnson and Kingsbury are calling their brains out tonight. Man, I knew Cliff was going to get back in the NFL and have some success, man. He got over the hump, too. Like, usually he has that big skid towards the back end of the season. He fixed it. They figured it out. I like guys that can grow or have had to grow in their job. I like guys that have had to grow in their job. Noah wants to weigh in. What's up, Noah? Noah, I think you're muted. Or your mic's not working. Or my headphones aren't on. One of the two. One of the 7. How about now? Talk now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, fire away, man.
Oh, so I finally kind of calmed down for a little bit after the game. And
did you throw something?
I maybe threw my phone, but
I knew you threw something. No. It was a throw something type of game.
It was a throw something type of game, but I don't even think CJ played terribly. There was a couple throws where yeah, you kind of questioned it. But one of my questions was Joe Mixon was really going in like the first half, but then towards that third and fourth quarter, he just kind of just threw it aimlessly at whoever. And Hutchinson had a few nice catches, which makes me a little promising for next year, hoping he can get some momentum going. And what's your opinion on Hutchinson going into next season?
Not my favorite. I want a lot of guys in that wide receiver room. I want a bunch of new faces. I want undrafted guys. I want late round picks. I want high picks. I want free agents. Push him. Make him win his spot. If he's going to be on the team, make him go out there, kick ass in training camp, and win his spot.
The defense played all they could. And I mean, with Jimmy and Jalen being out, obviously covering Travis Kelce was going to be a major problem. But the sky's the limit for the defense next year. If they can just get some more depth at some of these pieces, like safety, like you said, I think the defense is honestly going to be top 3 next year. It's going to be real good.
They got a chance to have the best defense in the league next year, don't they? Like that's realistically what they could be, right?
And I didn't hear anything about Kamari Lassiter or Derek Stingley, and that's a good thing, right? Because when no one's talking about them, that means they're doing their job.
Yep.
Because literally, it was just Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce tonight. That's all they could do. Yeah,
they had one wide receiver make a catch outside, or they had one wide receiver make a catch. It was Xavier Worthy. And then Hollywood had that almost catch, that long big play that was an almost catch. But
and those are quick, speedy guys too. And Stingley and Lassiter had them locked down. So that gives me all the confidence in the world going into next year for those two.
Well, and you got to think about it too. Lassiter's going to get better second year in the league. Block's going to get better second year in the league. You're going to hopefully get some health at that safety / nickel spot. And have a guy that's better than Eric Murray in there. So, there's a lot to look forward to for this defense.
Like I said, sky's the limit for them. And
offense,
I'm sure Bobby's still going to be here unless the Jets take him or something, but they definitely need to move on from Strausser, just retool this offensive line. And what were your thoughts on them moving Shaq Mason back there? Because
I hated it.
I feel like for the first half, the offensive line played relatively well, but then what's his name? Steve something, their defensive coordinator?
Steve Spagnuolo.
I'm like, they know he's going to be on third and whatever. They're going to be blitzing, and I just don't feel like they prepared for his blitz at all as well, even though they know he loves to blitz.
Yep, that's a bad job by Bobby. That's a bad job by the offensive line being ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Cody, for letting me weigh in. On a letter grade, I'd probably give the season a B-. You hung in there with the Chiefs. It wasn't what we were expecting, but I what would you give it letter grade wise?
Oh man. Yeah, I think a B- is pretty good. You left a lot out there. If you were great at like an essay, like you'd circle a good portion of it and be like, yeah, you kind of could have done more here. You could have done more here. Maybe you finished a little bit stronger than you expected, kind of the way it kind of meandered through some of it. So it's a good grade. Noah, appreciate you jumping in, man.
Thank you. No problem.
Good stuff from Noah. Kate on the super chat says, bring me in, Stoots. Hey, you want to get in like Noah? You hit the link at the top of the chat. You can get in, Cade. Appreciate the super chat. Hey, look who's hanging out in the lobby back here. Landry Locker from the locker room. Hello.
What's up, man? I'm just watching this game. I guess the studio's on, but I kind of feel a little different. You know how kind of like you finish the post game show and then you kind of step back on.
You start to digest a little bit.
Start to digest a little bit. Start to lay it out a little bit. The game. I think it's really just the way the season was supposed to end. Like, I feel like this was the way that the season was supposed to end. I don't feel like any of the problems were minimized by a playoff run. Like, if you find a way to win this game, there's a chance that the problems aren't as clear. Now, I'm not saying that they make the adjustments, but I think that I think that at the very least, like there's no if you don't do it, it's not because it's not like as clear as day for you when it comes to offense. I don't even know. I mean, that probably starts with evaluation. Then it starts with personnel and all that. But I think there's
this look at this Hardo comment, Landry.
That's fine. I mean,
that's fair. I mean, you want to live that way, live that way.
No, I mean, I'd like to get where that's the case. I think it's the case. Yeah. I think the Astros had that for a few years. I don't know if the Texans are there yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't think they like made any progress. I think on defense they made progress. I don't see any reason for this not to be one of the better defenses in the league next year.
Oh, if they're not a top 3 defense in the league next year, something went terribly wrong.
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason for that not to be the case, the reality.
They've got to go recycle through some of those defensive tackles because they only have one under contract really for next year in Tim Settle. And then in a little bit of depth here and there, and they should be right back in this thing. You know what? As you kind of sit there and you talk about this, how this season ended, you know what this was? This playoff run was, Landry? It's like when you're dating somebody new and you go through the holidays with them. And it worked at Thanksgiving. Like, it was good at Thanksgiving. Like, that was the first playoff game. It's like, it's good at Thanksgiving. And you're like, man, Christmas is a bigger deal. Christmas is a way bigger deal. Like, I don't know. Let's see how they do at Christmas. And then, like, for a portion of Christmas, they kind of, like, handled themselves well. And then they got drunk and threw up all over themselves. And you were worried that they were going to get drunk and threw up all over themselves. And that's exactly what the Texans were here. Like, they threw up all over themselves at the end of that game.
So you're saying that you take people that you're dating new to Thanksgiving and Christmas?
I was just trying to make an analogy.
How fast you try to move?
I was trying to make. I look. I'm wasting time here, bud. Like,
How new? Like, is Thanksgiving your second date and Christmas your third? Like, what are we saying?
I mean, all right. You just keep talking. Then I'll just come up with a different analogy.
I'm asking. I'm trying to get your analogy, my friend. I'm just like,
Yeah, well, you
you
didn't
did
like
that. You made it
so.
sound so common to take someone new that you're dating
It's not a new person you're dating.
Thanksgiving or
Though. It's
Christmas.
it's the first time you're taking them to the holidays. Is what I'm saying.
Okay.
It's not a new person. I don't know where you threw new in there. So when you're dating someone,
Oh, and you take them to Thanksgiving and the holidays,
yeah,
and they can't hang.
and they can't hang, or they hang.
So
They hung
is
well.
that Bobby Slowick or what?
Well, it's just and all the warts from their issues showed up at Christmas. That's what the Texans had. Like all the warts from the season showed up in Kansas City.
Here's the question I have for you though. Like, and I'll get out of here. I'm gonna go grub downstairs. But like, you didn't trust them to do the right thing with Shaq Mason. I think you were right. They put him right back in because you thought this staff was incompetent. Do you think that that's the same case in the offseason?
No,
because that's the answer to your success. Because I heard D'Amico say we're not far away. If you function like this on offense, you're never going to win a Super Bowl. Like you'll never, like it will never happen unless you put together the best array of talent of all time. But if you evaluate, prepare, and coach that side of the ball like they did this year, you're never winning a Super Bowl. You might be able to find a way to win a game like this, but it's going to get capped off. So my question is, do you trust them at least now that they have time, now that they're not married to these players, they can find outs, they can find other solutions. Do you trust the Texans to be able to make those appropriate decisions?
Yes. Because if they keep Bobby, they're going to change a ton of guys on offense from a coaching staff perspective and a player perspective. I really do believe that. And if they blow Bobby out, then they're really serious about change.
Yeah, I think as long as they change the way they function, then they would be fine. Because if they were well coached in game today, they have a chance to win that game.
Yep.
It's still an uphill battle because of the refs and because the Chiefs are good. But if they actually are as aggressive as they should have been at the end of the second half, and then they make up their mind on that fourth down to where it's not just a complete dumpster fire, and then they function well at the end of the game, then there's a chance.
Yeah.
But they had no chance in hell with that. So, yeah.
You're right.
We'll see how that goes.
Got to change coaches and players. It's not just one or the other.
Happy Thanksgiving. Merry Christmas.
Shut up. Get out of here. I'm kicking you out. Get all the way out. Get out of here. All the way. I don't even want to see you backstage. Get the hell out of here. Cade had some super chats and waiting. Cade, where are you that it's sunny?
I'm out here in Oahu, Hawaii, my man.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking for a fair band right now. I got some words for him.
Boy, he was not loving the cold, man.
No, he was not. But I mean, the weather's amazing out here, so I can see why he struggled a bit today.
All right, so long story short, I'm coming to visit you one day. That's what we're getting at here.
Yeah, man, hit me up. I'm moving in like 6 months, so if you ever make your way out here, I'll show you around.
All right, so clock's a ticking. I gotta figure it out here.
Yeah. So like, I got like 3 hot topics, man. So first and foremost, like the guard situation has got to be addressed. That was the kryptonite of this team the entire season. I'm tired of seeing Shaq Mason just get blown up back into CJ. It seems at least 60% of the time. So that'll be the first take, and I got 2 more for you, and then I'll get up out of here.
Well, here's what I'm tired of: Shaq not touching anybody. Like,
yeah, no, agreed.
Like it's not kindergarten, bud. It's not keep your hands to yourself. Go maul somebody. Like, there were too many times he didn't know who to block, and so he just didn't touch anybody.
The next, like, I don't know. We saw it with Trevor in Jacksonville when Aziz sent him to the shadow realm. But we're getting to this point now where these quarterbacks like have free realm to, get, 5, 6, 7, 8 easy yards and then do a late slide. Like, if you are on the NFL board, like, what is your proposition to alleviate, and protect the defense from these piss poor calls, man? Like, it happens time and time again to us.
You got to have New York intervene. You got to have New York make a judgment call on when they slid and if they slid in the appropriate amount of time. And if the officials on the field get it wrong, New York's got to buzz them and say, you got it wrong. Don't call that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's fair. So moving forward, right, obviously depth has been an issue across the board from, I think, predominantly in the wide receiver and in the safety aspect. Like, we're moving guys around constantly. We're relying on John Mechie and Xavier Hutchinson to beat Kansas City at home. What do you want to see us do in the offseason? Do we go draft heavy on the skill set side, wide receiver, DB, or do we pay for those guys and then flip it and draft O-line if we invest in those guys in the offseason?
Pay for O-line, draft skill position players, and then however you want to add depth, I'm fine with it. You want some veterans on offense and defense for depth, that's good, but I want to pay for offensive linemen and defensive tackles, and then I want to draft wide receivers, another tight end maybe, running
100%.
back. I'd like a young safety that can maybe grow into Jimmy and Jalen's roles if you're not going to extend Jalen. So I'd maybe say a young safety somewhere, maybe around where you got Kalen Bullock, excuse me. So yeah, I think I want battle-tested offensive linemen. I don't want any more young guys.
I agree. I 100% agree. I think we're the worst offensive line drafting organization in the NFL. Last but not least, so we're sending a second, a third, maybe second or a third for Garrett Wilson. Get him reunited with CJ, and then.
I wish it was that simple, man. I think you're looking at least a first and a second, or maybe a first.
I don't know. Maybe. He's definitely not happy in New York, but appreciate the time, Cody, man. Thanks for all the coverage this year, bro, and I hope to catch up with you during the offseason.
Absolutely, man. Kate, I appreciate the super chats. Appreciate you jumping on. Fantastic stuff. And what do they do in Hawaii? What is it, hang loose?
Yes, shoots.
Okay, there you go.
And none of this, though. You gotta throw it loose like that.
Oh, okay, loose. Okay, yes, there we go. Okay, he's even got the little accent there. Cade, appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Much love.
Good stuff from Cade. Yeah, look, I'm paying offensive linemen. I want battle-tested guys. Also, I got to get to Hawaii. That sounds incredible. ESG Soccer with a super chat. Thanksgiving always good for Stoots. If you know, you know. Fat boy loves his food. You're damn straight about that. Zach Rose, Chris Boyd has got to go. Hey, ho, ho. Chris Boyd has got to go. Hey, ho, ho. Yeah, you're right, Zach. See ya. Go find another veteran who can't get it done at cornerback to play special teams ace. Tay, Shaq Mason equals Helen Keller. Changed my mind. Shaq's a man. Helen Keller's a woman. That's all I got for you. He does, man. And that's the blocking scheme. When somebody, that's not Shaq Mason's fault. And Peter, I'll get to you in a second. That's not Shaq Mason's fault when nobody gets blocked. I mean, it's partly Shaq Mason's fault, but there's probably a rule in the blocking scheme that he's applying that keeps him from blocking somebody that he needs to block. Damn it. Trade for Quentin Nelson. No thanks. $80 million guards doesn't really get me excited. Also, the Colts would rather die than trade with you. No camera. Peter wants to weigh in. What's up, Peter?
Yeah, shit. No, you can hear me?
I can hear you. What's up?
All right, bet. Appreciate it. Sorry, I'm not gonna. I don't care because I'm not gonna take up much of your time.
You're fine, man. You're fine. Fire away.
I'm literally just couch shopping right now in IKEA, and I'm kind of also dual streaming the Commanders game. But all I gotta say is I'm literally with you, bro. I'm trying to take a wide receiver first round. I was actually at the Colts game. My buddy Sam and we literally go to one game a year. We literally just graduated college, so now we have big boy money. We try to go to one game a year. We went to the Cardinals game last year, Colts game this year. So we saw Diggs tear his ACL. So obviously I'm not trying to re-sign him coming off a torn ACL. Unfortunately, Dell's gotten injured. both years, and bro, I mean, he's under 6 foot, like $150 soaking wet, bro. Hutch and Mechie, like God bless them, bro. They're doing that. Robert Woods, he's a vet, good for blocking. Like, point is, bro, it's like we dropped a wide receiver, just make sure he's over 6 foot, not 150 soaking wet. Like, bro, I'm 24, I'm 6 foot, I'm like 155. I'm not a wide receiver in the NFL.
Yeah, but what's 40 time, Peter?
That's all I'm saying. I think I could run like a 4 something. I don't know how fast, but like all I'm saying is just like,
okay.
Yeah, all I'm saying is, man, just like, can we please just get like an adequate wide receiver too?
Can I interest you in a 6'2", 205-pound speedster from the SEC who kicked people's ass this year?
Talking about Luther Burden?
I'm talking about Trey Harris from Ole Miss. 1,000 receiving yards, 7 touchdowns.
Bro, dude. You don't have to convince me about SEC. I know you talk about Luther Burden because I went to A&M and I'm not afraid to admit it, bro. I'm a huge SEC homer. Like I said, man, I went to A&M and I am fully convinced of SEC bias, bro. Dude, that's where you go. Any sport, dude. If you want to play against dogs like DAWGS, bro, that's where you got to play, dude. Like, if people can look at Luther Burden this year and be like, oh yeah, he didn't have a good year. Dude, last year when Brady Cook had a good year, bro, he was I'm not looking at his stats right now, but he was like, I think a little over 1,000 or like 900 plus yards.
He had 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns last year.
Exactly. I was literally gonna say like 1,000 plus yards, around 10 touchdowns. Yeah, and then this year Brady Cook was terrible, dude. And then he's still, yeah, bro. Luther Burden's good. I do not want Tez Johnson or whatever. Like same thing, bro. He's little gadget guy. Something. Okay. I do not want that, dude. If you're gonna get someone out of the SEC, and like, yeah,
I tell you what, I promise you, as we talk about him over the course of this process, Texans fans are gonna fall in love with the wideout out of Stanford. They're gonna want him because he's big. He makes some big catches. They didn't throw him the ball enough at Stanford because they run an archaic, 1960s
Is he going to the Reese Bowl?
He's going to the Senior Bowl, and he is circled. He is circled on the list, baby.
Yeah, you had a nasty little sunglass burn from that last year.
Oh yeah, don't worry. I got a better plan for the Senior Bowl this year.
Yeah, I remember that. It was funny as fuck last year. Right, I'll look confident. You had a nice.
All right, burn. Peter, hold on. I got to ask you a question before you go. Did you say you were shopping at IKEA?
No. Sorry, no. I'm online shopping. I'm like shopping online. I'm watching the Commanders game on my phone. Like also multi shopping on a different browser right now. I'm like just doing a lot of stuff trying to get my mind off the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Lions going down would make me a little happy.
It wouldn't. I mean, I watch a lot of sports, so I mean, like, in other words, all I'm trying to say is it's cool in the moment to see like a big team lose, but also it sucks because then the Chiefs just get in it. I know in theory you're saying like, oh yeah, like, but bro, let's be real. Are the Commanders really gonna keep this up and beat the Chiefs?
Well,
yes, I know it's possible, but like, and realistically,
who says they're playing the Chiefs, man? I mean, I like Baltimore or Buffalo coming out of this one tomorrow. So. All right, Peter. What last?
Oh, sorry, I'm stupid. That's right. They're in the NFC. I'm just thinking the winner of this plays the AFC. Sorry, my bad. No, you're totally right.
No, yeah.
You're
Peter,
totally right.
Are you a bong or a blunt guy?
Am I what?
Yeah, the people are speculating that maybe you've had a little bit of devil's lettuce tonight.
No, dude, bro. I'm literally no. I'm a what's the term? Square.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Nothing wrong with being a square.
I've
been accused of being a square before. There's nothing wrong with being a square.
Yeah, no, bro. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you can't see the chat on here.
Yeah. Peter, appreciate you jumping in, man.
I'll have to go look at the chat later. Bye.
I'm gonna make sure I have a awful Senior Bowl tan because you remembered it from last year.
Yeah, no, I got a pretty good memory actually. But appreciate it, buddy.
Well, it's probably because you don't smoke marijuana. Okay, yeah, that's probably what it is.
Yeah, no, I got a really good memory. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Peter, thanks for jumping in. Good stuff from Peter. SEC homer, Peter. You know what? No camera Peter we got to get no camera Peter in here more often. No camera Peter was bringing it. The chat liked no camera Peter. Okay. Man, I'm telling you, I'm sitting there in the middle of that just nasty punch you in the mouth drive that they started the third quarter with. I'm sitting there thinking, well, we're not talking about the offseason this week. And now to be here getting ready to talk about the offseason, it sucks. Man, that sucks. Man. I was thinking they make that thing 13-13. They make that thing 13-13. Who knows? Who knows? You know, Chiefs answered. Chiefs answered on that drive, so it's a good job by them. They make that thing 13-13. Oh. Be thinking about that Caimi Fairbairn miss for a while. Jacob wants to weigh in. What's up, Jacob?
Yo, what's good, bro?
What's up, man? Fire away.
Nah, I think we need to get a guard at in the draft this year, man. Like,
Okay.
bruh. Shaq Mason. Like, I think
no
left
more
or right
Shaq
guard.
Mason. No more Shaq Mason.
Yeah, for real.
I don't want
We
him.
got
No more Shaq Mason.
Scruggs. We got Scruggs at center. He's ready. And like, bro, I think if we got a better left guard or a better right guard, whoever's better, just get them, bro. Because
Yeah,
like,
I mean, look,
we need to build this line like the Lions.
I certainly understand wanting better offensive linemen and using a draft pick on them. I understand that. I just think you can find a veteran like the Lions. The Lions are a great example of an incredible offensive line. I know they're losing in the football game right now, but like,
yeah,
Kevin Zeitler is the right guard. They signed him in free agency. He's an older guy. They paid maybe a little bit more than they were comfortable with. They signed him. Now, Penei Sewell is a draft pick, top 10 guy, one of the best offensive linemen in football. Decker's really good at left guard. Frank Ragnow's their center. He's been really good for a few years now. So like, there's definitely like some draft pick investment. Like, I just think they've been so bad at drafting linemen.
Yeah.
I'm worried about letting them draft another one.
Yeah, I think you're right. We got to see what happens in free agency this year and the guards, and maybe there will be a better guard to just pick up.
Yeah, and I will say this: like, I thought Fisher was okay at
Yeah,
right
for
tackle.
real.
He had the early issue, and I remember tweeting with somebody. I said he had a hiccup at the beginning of the Chargers game, and then he kind of dialed it in. He did the same thing today. It felt like a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm not putting communication issues on him. I'm putting that on the veterans, the quarterback, and the coordinator. You know, he's playing his 7th game at right tackle. Like, it's not his fault that they didn't communicate right. You know?
Yeah. And we need something to change about the offensive line coaching. I think we need that
He's
too.
fired. His desk better have it boxed up already.
Yeah.
Like, it's Chris Strausser, and I thought he was going to be an asset for this team before last year. Not the case. Not the case. I cannot freaking believe they didn't fire him in the middle of the year, man.
Yeah, for real.
Man, I can't believe that. You got anything else for us, Jacob?
Nah, man. Appreciate you having me on, man. You have a good night, man.
Absolutely, man. You too. Thanks for popping on. Good stuff from Jacob. Good stuff from Jacob. Hold on. We got Anderson's offering 4th division Brazil soccer players to come challenge Caimi Fairbairn for his spot. We can't do that. Can't do that. Rock, hold on now. Cody's in love with this garbage-ass Fisher. I don't get it. He is not good. Rock, he's played 7 games. You know what's going to happen this offseason, Rock? You know what's going to happen? He's going to go in the weight room. And that strength and conditioning coach is going to grab him by those big chubby cheeks, and he's going to say, Blake, and Blake's going to say, yes. He's going to say, Blake, and he say, yes. He say, Blake, let's get you strong. and he's going to say, okay. And then he's going to come back and he's going to be in great shape. He's going to be strong as shit. And he's going to be the right tackle for this team. They've invested in him, Rock. They got to play him. Like, I didn't want to tackle with the second round pick. That's what they spent the pick on. They got to play him. They can't do anything else with him. He can't play guard. Laramie's the left tackle. They got to play him. Does he need to be better? Absolutely. Absolutely, he's got to be better. But they got to play him. Zach with the super chat. Much love to you, Stoots, and SNL. Been rocking with you since the Wheelhouse 97.5. Let's go Texans. Put some respect on CJ Timothy Stroud. He showed up. Zach, man, I appreciate you. You're very loyal supporter. A lot of super chats. Great, active in the comments. I very much appreciate you. Thank you for the kind words, man. Thank you for following along all those years from the radio to the digital. Now doing the combo stuff with Landry in the locker room. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Good stuff from Zach. Thank you. JR or Junior?
JR, man. That's
all right,
it. What's up, Cody? How you doing, man?
JR, fire away, man.
Man, as far as the whole season as a whole, can't say that I'm too disappointed. I would say that if we could fix the O-line coach situation, I think that'd be great. How about some help with the tight ends? Man, I can't but help think about whenever we drafted Kenyon Green, we passed up Tyler Linderbaum and also Kyle Hamilton. I mean, not to kind of live in the past a little bit, but man, it just kind of both of those guys are with the Ravens and they're making moves, and man, it's just all pros, you know. So, kind of tough situation right there.
Linderbaum, one of my favorite prospects the past like 5 years. Like it was like the floor was so stupid high for him. Like, oh man, Linderbaum hurts me, man.
That's right. That's right. As far as the season, I mean, man, it was tough watching the game today. Kaimi Fairbairn, what do you want to do with that? What do you want to do with that? Because you botch extra points. I mean, going back to Kansas City when you botched the extra point after Tank Dell got hurt, that same play, that next extra point, you botched it. Now you botched the extra point right here. Not to say that was a big game changer now in hindsight, looking back at it, but I mean, still, man, those you were down. Those were 4 points. He missed also a field goal as well. That I mean, those are 4 points that you probably could have used that would have changed the dynamics of the game. You know.
I got some bad news, JR, man. You're pot committed to Kaimi. I mean, it costs more money to get rid of him than to keep him. And
oh my God.
They signed a new 3-year contract this year. So this is the first of at the very least 2, probably 3 years. Now, you know, is he going to get hurt? Do you try to find a backup kicker? Like but they're stuck with Kaimi. He's just got maybe he fires his mental coach, gets a new mental coach, whatever, but they're stuck with Kaimi, unfortunately.
Right.
I say unfortunately, like kickers suck. Like kickers, like you want to not worry about kickers, score more touchdowns.
That's right.
Like, that's my thing. You don't want to worry about Kaimi Fairbairn? Fix the O-line and score more touchdowns.
That's right. That's right. And unfortunately, man, it was kind of hard to see Jared Wayne back out there, which was kind of like bringing back kind of PTSD with the whole situation with Tank Dell in Kansas City. I mean, it was a tough one to watch, man. But hopefully we could do something about that wide receiver position. And, it's going to be a tough one getting rid of. Do you think they bring back Diggs? What do you think? What happens there? What do you think?
I would not bring back Stefon Diggs. The history of players 30 years and older having good seasons at wide receiver is very short.
Mm-hmm.
It gets even shorter when they're coming off a major knee injury. And this is the first major knee injury. He hasn't been around the team. I think that's a little curious that he hasn't been around with some of his rehab, whereas like Jalen Petrie lives at the building. So I don't believe they should bring back Diggs. I want younger. I want a young guy in the draft. I want a young guy who failed somewhere else that Nick Caserio looks at and is like, our coaches can fix him. Like I want that guy. I want an undrafted guy. I want a 7th round guy.
Mhm.
I want a veteran who's played a lot of football. Like I want this to be. I want everybody behind Nico Collins to be scratching and clawing and fighting every damn day in training camp for those
Right.
5 wide receiver spots.
That's right.
And I
That's
want
right, man.
somebody to be able to return kicks too.
Man, what do you think about Damian Pierce's future with the Texans? Kick and return kicks.
I would tell you that Damian's going to be in camp. He's going to get a shot. I hope there's somebody there to push him, and I hope there's somebody there to push him hard. So, I don't think you want to get rid of Damian because he's shown you a very clear way that he can impact the game. I wonder if you can find somebody that can do what he does and maybe give you more offensively as well.
Right. Man, I just want to give you and Landry a shout out, man. Thank y'all so much for covering the Texans. And it's been a pleasure listening to you guys all year. And hopefully we'll do it again next year, man. And looking forward to it, guys. Hey, thank you so much.
JR, don't go anywhere, baby. The offseason's going to be awesome. Nobody's going to have it covered better than us. So thank you for the kind words, man. Appreciate you for watching. Good stuff, man. Oh, he hit me with a salute there before I cut him off. Salute to you too, JR. Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. Look, when you guys say nice things, it obviously is. I feel great about it. Like you guys are very nice. You're very kind. Nobody's really mean. This Lindsay's a little mean here, but nobody else is really that mean, which is great. I probably deserve a little bit more meanness sometimes, but you guys make this so much fun. Landry and I would talk about the Texans, cameras on, cameras off. It's way more fun to talk about it cameras on with you guys, though, and gals and ladies and gentlemen and all that kind of stuff. It's way more fun to talk about it with you than to just, trust me, I've heard about Joe Mixon catching the football for 8 weeks before Landry's talked about it on the channel. So, Wags, an interesting stat, only Worthy had catches. Lockdown. I love these corners, man. I love these corners. And hand up, hand to God. I was a Kool-Aid guy. Didn't give Kamari the proper amount of respect. Bad job by me. But Kamari's awesome. The locksmith. Kamari's awesome. Noah with an interesting question. Is Titus becoming the full-time left guard? I actually do think he's going to be the full-time left guard if they keep him. We need T. Higgins. He's hurt too much. He'll also be one of the most expensive players this offseason. I'm out. Cliff Kingsbury showing every team that passed on him why they effed up. I mean, Cliff can coach him up now. Couple of super chats. ESG Soccer. We need to be very careful replacing players when the staff is horrible on O. Coaches don't counter to salary cap exit interviews tomorrow, please. They're going to make some changes on the offensive staff. If they keep Bobby, they're going to make some changes on the offensive staff, bring some new blood in here. If they don't keep Bobby, clean out the offense, bring somebody else new in. Huzzah. We'll talk about that. I got 25 names ready to fire off for you if they make a change at offensive coordinator. We'll do a 1-hour stream and we'll go over in detail every one of those guys' resumes. Okay, I'm all for making a change at offensive coordinator. And if they do, we're going to have a damn time talking about it. Appreciate you for the super chat, ESG Saka. Big D. Nice work this season, Cody. What's with the guys? 1 year. Nick gave multiple year deals looking so unmotivated. Schultz, Mason, Howard, Fairbairn. I would say Kaimi's in a separate category. Kaimi works his butt off, man. I see him at practice. They're kicking nonstop, and it's between the ears here. Mason, I don't say Mason loafed it. Mason just wasn't any good this year. Titus Howard, it's a little bit too much Laramie there. Who's the other name? Schultz. I'm done with Dalton Schultz. I was high on Schultz, and I failed. I failed us. Schultz failed us. Yeah, I don't know. Something to pay attention to, though. Wags, if Bobby leaves, maybe our QB coach. So Wags is saying if Bobby's not the offense coordinator, maybe Gerard Johnson, the quarterback coach, would be the offensive coordinator. I have a hard time thinking if you're going to change the offense that you want to promote somebody from the offense. So I would go outside the building. Should he be considered? Yes. Should he have an interview? Yes. If they felt like he could do it, maybe they would have made the change in season this year. They didn't do that. So, I would tell you that that's probably not likely, Wags. Okay. I'm gonna go get the baby oil out for the end of this Lions dynasty that lasted all of 3 weeks. And I gotta save the voice for SNL tomorrow. Sometime tomorrow, not sure exactly when. Myself, Landry Locker, little post-mortem on this. And we'll go through this and solve all the world's problems with it, hopefully. Hopefully. So thank you, everybody, for jumping in from the chats to the comments to the questions to the super chats to the people jumping in live. Thank you, everybody, for the people that watch that don't chat and just throw the thumbs up and stuff like that. Thank you. This was an incredibly fun regular season. It is the most fun and rewarding season of football that I've ever covered. And the incredible audience that I have is part of the reason that is so fun and incredible, and it has been awesome. It's been awesome talking about the regular season with you and the playoff run. It's been great. And I'm not going anywhere. The offseason is going to be covered as well, probably better. I have an experience of doing this last offseason. I know how I want to do it better. I'm going to execute that. I'm going to bring a ton of offseason coverage here on the channel with Landry Locker in the locker room, on SNL as well. Houston football. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have a blast this offseason. We're going to have so much fun. We're going to turn over all the stones we can, try to figure out who the next people are that are going to help the Houston Texans, from coaches to players to everything. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a blast. Pinball Mafia Dennis, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated. So you guys make this fun. I mean, how many places can you go and talk football with your friends for almost 2 hours? A couple hundred people in here, in and out, hanging out, talking about everything from the season and the game and all that. Not many places. I don't want you guys to ever think that I'm not grateful for this. It is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. Cliff Johnson with a very nice thing. Here trolling, but you seem like a cool dude. Just subscribe. Seriously, good stuff. Stick around, Cliff. You might learn something here. I'm kidding. You're a Chiefs fan. You probably feel like you know everything. But you might learn something about the Texans. They're coming for you. You don't want to see the Texans next year. They're coming for you. They're coming for you. Cliff, thank you for the kind words, man. Thank you. Hang around. Have some fun, man. Pop in on the lives. You'll be probably celebrating a Super Bowl run. We'll see who Lamar or Josh Allen can get you. So hopefully the Texans are coming, and we got many more KC and Houston battles to go. Oh, Panda, you've been here all season. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You're very kind. Your comments on the recorded videos, in the live streams, you're a constant presence. And thank you. You're very kind. You're very kind with the super chat. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you, Panda. Very nice. Oh, Pinball's got Stroud's biggest issue is not throwing the ball away. That's what you wanted to say in your super chat, I'm guessing, Pinball. Yeah, that's going to get coached out of him. He's going to realize that. He's going to use his legs more. And I don't think that's going to be a long-term issue. I think that was a 2024 issue. I don't think that's going to be a CJ Stroud issue. So But yeah, he needs to rip it. When he sees it, rip it. Patrick, I look forward to Chargers Trumpet Man next season. Visit to the Chargers, visit to the Rams, visit to the Seahawks next year. West Coast. I hope to attend multiple of those. Rock, he's not worried about the damn completion percentage. Come on. Come on. He's got to rip it, though. When he sees it, rip it. When he sees it, rip it. Hold on. Brian Broussard. CJ got to get that dog back in him. Grow some more hair on his nuts. Stop looking at sounding so soft, man. Love my QB, though. Love the overall person who he is. Oh, he's going to be back next year, and he's going to be ready. He's going to be ready to rock. Ballerina Cowboy. Can't catch live streams often, but I watch almost every video. Great stuff, even if I don't agree with all the takes. Thank you, Ballerina Cowboy. You don't have to agree. That's the best part about sports talk, is we can disagree, and nobody dies if we disagree. That's the unfortunate issue of politics. We disagree sometimes. Sometimes people die. Sports talk, not so much. Not so much. Thank you, everybody. We got some fun stuff planned for this offseason, man. Some fun stuff. It's going to be great. Put some new looks on some stuff. SNL with Landry Locker in the locker room. It's going to be great. I can't wait. I can't wait. This is my hope for you. This is my charge for you as well. I want you to always eat good, sleep good, be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody.